Picture this. You're 23 years old sitting in a luxury apartment in Miami, surrounded by everything money can buy. Your trading account shows seven figures. The Lamborghini in your driveway gleams under the Florida sun. By every external measure, you've made it. You've achieved what thousands of aspiring traders dream about every single day. But here's what nobody tells you about success in trading. Sometimes, getting everything you want becomes the moment you realize you wanted the wrong things entirely. This is the story of Tyler, known online as TJR, one of the most influential trading voices of his generation. But more than that, it's a cautionary tale about the hidden psychological traps that await even the most successful traders, and how the very thing that was supposed to save him nearly destroyed him completely. Chapter 1. The Foundation of False Beliefs. Tyler's story begins like so many others in our industry, with a fundamental misunderstanding about what money can actually do for us. As a professional trader myself, I've seen this pattern repeat countless times. Young, ambitious individuals who believe that financial success will somehow solve their deeper psychological struggles. Tyler was no different. From his high school days in California, he carried the weight of mental health challenges that had plagued him his entire life: depression, anxiety, and a profound sense of disconnection from the world around him. But instead of addressing these issues directly, he did what many of us do. He found a distraction that felt like a solution. Trading became his escape route, not just from his current circumstances, but from his internal emotional landscape. He convinced himself that if he could just make enough money, if he could just achieve financial freedom, then everything else would fall into place. The dangerous psychology here is something I call solution displacement, when we convince ourselves that external achievements will fix internal problems. Tyler embodied this perfectly. He would wake up at 4 a.m., take cold showers, and repeat mantras to himself: I'm a profitable trader. I'm a millionaire. I'm driving a Lambo. From a trading psychology perspective, this kind of visualization can be powerful when used correctly. But Tyler was using it as a form of psychological medication, trying to manifest his way out of depression rather than dealing with the root causes. His daily routine was intense by any standard. Wake up before dawn to catch market open from the West Coast. Trade through the morning session, attend high school, play sports, come home and trade the London session late into the night, then repeat. This wasn't just dedication. This was avoidance behavior disguised as ambition. Chapter 2. The Complexity of Professional Trading. Now, let me pause here to address something crucial about Tyler's actual trading methodology, because this reveals important psychological insights about how successful traders really operate. When asked about his strategy, Tyler made a point that resonates deeply with my own experience. He actively discourages people from copying his exact approach. This isn't modesty. It's wisdom born from understanding that trading success isn't just about technical analysis or market knowledge. Tyler's approach centers on reading market manipulation around key sessions. He focuses primarily on the New York Open, analyzing how price reacts based on what London's session accomplished. If London consolidated, he expects New York to manipulate either the highs or lows of that session. If London already manipulated and reversed, New York typically continues that move. But here's the crucial psychological element. Tyler admits that sometimes he goes against his own mechanical strategy based on intuition and market experience. This creates what I call the discretionary trader's dilemma. How do you teach something that relies partially on years of pattern recognition and market feel? This is where many developing traders get caught. They watch successful traders like Tyler and try to mechanically copy their setups without understanding the deeper psychological components: the ability to read market sentiment, the experience to know when to deviate from rules, and most importantly, the emotional regulation to stick with a process over time. Tyler trades with extremely short holding periods, sometimes just 1 to 2 hours. His risk to reward ratios are relatively modest, often 1 or 1.5, but his win rate is exceptionally high. This reveals a specific psychological profile: someone who prefers frequent, smaller wins over less frequent, larger gains. From a psychological standpoint, this approach requires tremendous discipline and emotional control. You need to be comfortable with constant decision-making, rapid position sizing adjustments, and the ability to cut losses quickly when wrong. Chapter 3: The Illusion of Control. One of the most revealing aspects of Tyler's trading approach is his relationship with market timing. He's developed what he calls a sprint mentality, periods of intense focus and execution, followed by complete withdrawal from the markets. Tyler describes making $200,000 in a single week, then not trading for 2 weeks afterward. This isn't laziness or lack of discipline. It's sophisticated psychological management that most traders never develop. The ability to step away from the markets when you're winning is one of the most difficult psychological skills in our profession. Most traders, when they hit a hot streak, convince themselves they've figured it out and increase their activity and position sizes. This inevitably leads to giving back profits and creating emotional trauma around success. Tyler's approach acknowledges a crucial truth about markets. Opportunities are not evenly distributed. Sometimes the market presents clear, high-probability setups. Other times it's a choppy mess that's designed to separate traders from their capital. The psychological maturity to recognize these different market states and adjust your activity accordingly is what separates professionals from amateurs. But here's where Tyler's story takes a darker turn. His success in reading markets and managing positions didn't translate to managing his internal emotional state. He was becoming increasingly skilled at one type of control while completely losing control of another. Chapter 4: When Success Becomes a Prison. By his early 20s, Tyler had achieved what most people would consider remarkable success. He was making substantial money trading, building an online presence, and living the lifestyle that social media celebrates. But behind the scenes, a different story was unfolding. The money didn't fix his depression, it made it worse. The freedom he thought wealth would provide felt more like isolation. The achievement he'd chased for years left him feeling more empty than ever. This phenomenon is more common in trading than most people realize. Success can create its own form of psychological trauma. When you achieve your goals and still feel miserable, it forces you to confront the possibility that your entire framework for happiness was wrong. Tyler found himself in what psychologists call an existential crisis. He had eliminated all the external excuses for his unhappiness. He couldn't blame his circumstances, his lack of money, or his limited options. He was forced to face the reality that his internal struggles were just that, internal. The depth of his despair reached a point where he attempted to take his own life multiple times. This wasn't just depression anymore. This was a complete breakdown of his sense of purpose and meaning. Here's what's particularly tragic about Tyler's situation. He was suffering in silence while simultaneously inspiring thousands of people online. The same social media presence that would eventually save him was, at this point, just another layer of performance he had to maintain. The psychological pressure of being a public figure in trading is something I understand personally. Every trade you take, every decision you make, becomes content for others to analyze and judge. People look to you for answers when you're struggling to find them yourself. Chapter 5: The Geographic Solution. Tyler's decision to move from Utah to Puerto Rico wasn't just about taxes. It was about psychological survival. He recognized that his environment was contributing to his struggles, but more importantly, he needed to remove himself from social situations that were incompatible with the person he was becoming. This decision reveals sophisticated self-awareness that many traders never develop. Tyler realized that his college friends, whom he loved, were living a lifestyle that no longer served him. Their priorities, playing basketball, going out to eat, casual socializing, weren't aligned with his need for intense focus and personal growth. The move to Puerto Rico forced Tyler into isolation, but it was productive isolation. Without the social distractions and obligations of his previous life, he had no choice but to confront his internal struggles and channel his energy into building something meaningful. This is when Tyler began creating content with real substance. His Day Trading Bootcamp series, 60 days of 30, 60-minute videos, wasn't just educational content. It was therapy in disguise. By teaching others, he was teaching himself. By articulating trading concepts clearly, he was clarifying his own understanding. The psychological principle at work here is what therapists call helper's high. the genuine boost in mood and sense of purpose that comes from helping others. Tyler discovered that while making money for himself felt empty, helping others make money felt meaningful. Chapter 6: The Transformation. Tyler's recovery wasn't dramatic or instant. It was gradual and built on a foundation of serving others. He began to understand that his depression wasn't just about chemical imbalances or negative thinking patterns. It was about purpose and connection. The content creation that started as a way to fill empty hours became his primary source of fulfillment. Not because of the fame or recognition, but because of the direct impact he could see on other people's lives. Comments from viewers who were changing their financial situations, messages from people who were inspired to take control of their trading. This feedback created a positive loop that his trading profits alone never could. This transformation reveals something crucial about trading psychology. Technical skill and emotional fulfillment are separate domains that don't automatically influence each other. You can be an exceptional trader and a miserable person, or you can be a mediocre trader who finds deep satisfaction in the process of improvement and teaching. Tyler's relationship with money also began to evolve. Instead of seeing profits as the primary goal, he began viewing them as a byproduct of competence and discipline. This shift in perspective made him a better trader because it reduced the emotional attachment to individual outcomes. Chapter 7: The Reality Behind the Highlights. One of the most valuable aspects of Tyler's story is his honesty about the gap between social media presentation and actual reality. He acknowledges that his online presence only shows the peak moments, the successful trades, the luxury purchases, the exciting travel. What viewers don't see are the 6 to 8 hours of daily work that happen behind the camera, the stress of managing multiple business ventures, the pressure of having hundreds of people depending on his decisions for their livelihoods. This disconnect between public perception and private reality creates a unique form of psychological pressure for successful traders who build online presences. Every post becomes a performance. Every trade becomes content. The line between authentic sharing and marketing becomes increasingly blurred. Tyler's awareness of this dynamic shows remarkable psychological maturity. He actively tries to counteract the highlight reel effect by reminding his audience that success requires sacrifice and that his lifestyle comes with significant responsibilities and stresses. Chapter 8: The Philosophy of Less. Perhaps the most counterintuitive aspect of Tyler's evolution as a trader is his movement toward doing less, not more. Over time, he's reduced his trading frequency, simplified his approach, and focused on higher quality opportunities rather than maximizing activity. This progression mirrors the development of most successful professional traders. Early in their careers, they believe that more analysis, more indicators, more screen time, and more trades will lead to better results. But experience teaches the opposite lesson. Simplicity and selectivity typically produce superior outcomes. Tyler now takes fewer trades but makes more money. He spends less time at his computer but achieves better results. He focuses on 3 main fundamentals rather than trying to master every possible trading technique. From a psychological perspective, this represents a mature understanding of what economists call the paradox of choice. Too many options often lead to analysis paralysis, emotional overwhelm, and suboptimal decision-making. By constraining his options, Tyler has actually increased his effectiveness. This principle extends beyond trading into life philosophy. Tyler describes his decision to sell his Miami apartment and Rolls-Royce, not because he couldn't afford them, but because they weren't adding genuine value to his experience. The psychological freedom that comes from owning fewer things, but owning them outright, provides a sense of security that leveraged luxury never could. Chapter 9: The Network Effect. Tyler's move to Puerto Rico connected him with a different type of successful person, established wealth rather than flashy income. These older, more experienced traders and investors showed him a different model of success. Instead of using complex technical analysis and cutting-edge trading techniques, these billionaires were using basic indicators like Bollinger Bands and EMAs. Their approaches were fundamentally simple, refined over decades of experience. This exposure forced Tyler to question his assumptions about what sophisticated trading looks like. The most successful people weren't doing the most complex things. They were doing simple things with extraordinary consistency and discipline. One particularly striking example Tyler shares involves a wealthy individual who makes trading decisions based on astrology and spiritual guidance. While this might sound absurd to technically minded traders, this person has beaten the market for 7 consecutive years while managing hundreds of millions of dollars. The psychological lesson here isn't that astrology works for trading, it's that confidence and consistency in execution often matter more than the specific methodology. When you have complete faith in your approach, you're more likely to follow it consistently and less likely to second guess yourself into poor decisions. Chapter 10: The Responsibility of Influence. As Tyler's online presence grew, he began grappling with the psychological weight of influence. Thousands of people were watching his content, copying his trades, and making financial decisions based on his guidance. This responsibility created an interesting psychological dynamic. On one hand, it motivated him to be more careful and thoughtful in his analysis. Knowing that others were following his lead made him more disciplined in his own process. On the other hand, it created pressure to perform and maintain an image of consistent success. Every losing trade became a potential source of criticism. Every mistake was amplified across social media platforms. Tyler's decision to stop offering signals and live trading streams reflects his understanding of these psychological pressures. He recognized that real-time trading guidance creates unhealthy dependencies and prevents viewers from developing their own analytical skills. Instead, he pivoted toward educational content that shows his complete process, including unsuccessful trades and periods of inactivity. This approach requires more psychological courage because it exposes vulnerability and imperfection, but it provides much more value to serious traders. Chapter 11: The Mental Health Revelation. Perhaps the most important aspect of Tyler's story is his openness about mental health struggles and the role they played in both his initial motivation to trade and his eventual breakdown despite financial success. Tyler's candid discussion of his suicide attempts and ongoing depression serves a crucial function for the trading community. It humanizes success and reveals the internal struggles that external achievements cannot resolve. His realization that money amplified, rather than solved his mental health issues, contradicts one of the most persistent myths in trading culture, that financial success automatically leads to personal happiness and fulfillment. The psychological concept at work here is called hedonic adaptation, our tendency to return to baseline happiness levels even after positive events. Tyler's experience demonstrates this principle in extreme form. Even dramatic financial success couldn't overcome underlying depression and lack of purpose. His recovery through content creation and helping others reveals an alternative path to fulfillment that doesn't depend on market performance or account balances. By finding meaning in service rather than accumulation, he discovered a source of satisfaction that was more stable and sustainable than trading profits. Chapter 12: The Evolution of Values. Tyler's story represents a complete transformation in value systems, from external validation to internal satisfaction, from accumulation to contribution, from complexity to simplicity. His current approach to trading reflects this evolution. Rather than trying to maximize profits through constant activity, he focuses on high probability opportunities and long periods of inactivity. Rather than pursuing luxury for its own sake, he prioritizes assets that provide genuine utility and security. Most importantly, he's learned to separate his identity from his trading results. Early in his career, a losing trade was a personal failure. Now, it's simply data that informs future decisions. This psychological detachment from outcomes is one of the most difficult skills for traders to develop, but it's essential for long-term success. When your self-worth depends on your trading performance, you're much more likely to make emotional decisions that damage your account. Tyler's ability to walk away from the markets for weeks at a time demonstrates this emotional independence. He can afford to wait for ideal opportunities because his sense of self doesn't require constant validation through trading activity. Chapter 13: The Paradox of Publicity. One of the most interesting psychological dynamics in Tyler's story is the relationship between his public persona and his private preferences. Despite being one of the most visible traders on social media, he describes himself as an introvert who prefers solitude and small social circles. This paradox reveals something important about modern success in trading. Building an audience often requires personality traits that conflict with optimal trading psychology. The extroversion and constant content creation needed for social media success can be draining for naturally introverted personalities. Tyler's solution has been to treat content creation as his social time rather than adding it to social obligations. By channeling his need for human connection through educational videos rather than in person networking, he's found a way to serve others while respecting his own psychological needs. His plan to eventually step back from public visibility shows remarkable self awareness. Rather than becoming addicted to attention and fame, he views his current prominence as a temporary phase that serves a specific purpose. Chapter 14: The Sustainability Question. Tyler's evolution toward taking fewer trades and seeking longer holding periods reflects a mature understanding of trading sustainability. The high intensity, short duration approach that built his initial success isn't something he wants to maintain indefinitely. This recognition that trading strategies need to evolve with life circumstances is crucial for long term success. What works in your 20s when you have unlimited energy and few responsibilities may not work in your 30s and beyond. Tyler's movement towards swing trading and less frequent position taking represents a natural progression that many successful traders experience. The psychological demands of day trading, constant attention, rapid decision making, emotional regulation under pressure, become less appealing as other life priorities emerge. His diversification into business ventures and passive investments also reflects sophisticated financial planning that goes beyond trading profits. Rather than relying solely on market performance for income, he's building multiple streams of revenue that reduce pressure on his trading results. Chapter 15: The Integration. Tyler's current life represents a successful integration of financial success, psychological health, and meaningful contribution. He's learned to balance work and leisure, solitude and service, ambition and contentment. His approach to goal setting has evolved from desperate visualization to realistic planning. Instead of using manifestation as an escape from reality, he uses it as a tool for clarifying priorities and maintaining motivation. The difference is subtle but crucial. Early Tyler was trying to manifest his way out of depression, while current Tyler uses goal setting to optimize an already fulfilling life. His advice to just get started reflects this integrated perspective. Rather than promising that success will solve all problems, he encourages action as a way to discover what actually provides satisfaction and meaning. Conclusion: the real education. Tyler's story offers several crucial lessons for anyone serious about trading psychology. First, external success cannot fix internal problems. Money, luxury possessions, and social status might provide temporary relief from psychological struggles, but they don't address root causes. If anything, achieving external goals while remaining internally miserable can deepen depression by eliminating hope that circumstances will improve. Second, sustainable trading success requires psychological development that goes far beyond technical analysis and risk management. The ability to remain emotionally detached from individual outcomes, to step away from markets when appropriate, and to find meaning beyond profit maximization are skills that matter more than any indicator or strategy. Third, the path to fulfillment in trading often involves serving others rather than just accumulating wealth. Tyler's transformation began when he shifted focus from making money for himself to helping others improve their trading and their lives. Fourth, simplicity usually beats complexity in both trading and life. Tyler's evolution toward fewer trades, simpler analysis, and more selective opportunities mirrors the development of most successful long-term traders. Finally, authenticity and vulnerability create deeper connections and more sustainable success than carefully curated perfection. Tyler's willingness to share his struggles with mental health and the dark side of trading success provides more value to his audience than any perfect track record could. For those currently struggling with trading psychology, Tyler's story offers both warning and hope. The warning: don't expect external achievement to solve internal struggles. The hope: It's possible to find meaning, purpose, and psychological health even in the competitive, often isolating world of professional trading. The key is understanding that becoming a successful trader and becoming a fulfilled person are separate projects that require different skills and approaches. Tyler's journey shows that it's possible to excel at both, but only by addressing each directly rather than hoping one will automatically fix the other. His story reminds us that behind every trading success story is a human being grappling with universal challenges of purpose, meaning, and connection. The most valuable education comes not from studying charts and patterns, but from understanding ourselves and what truly provides satisfaction in life. In the end, Tyler's greatest achievement isn't his trading profits or social media following. It's his transformation from someone who used external success to avoid internal struggles into someone who found genuine fulfillment through service and authentic connection with others. That's the kind of success that sustains itself, regardless of market conditions. Final thought. As traders, we often focus on the technical aspects of our profession: risk management, strategy development, market analysis. But Tyler's story reminds us that the most important work happens between our ears and in our hearts. The markets will always be there, presenting opportunities and challenges. The question is, what kind of person do you want to be when you face them? Tyler found his answer through struggle, failure, and eventually, service to others. Your path may be different, but the destination, the integration of skill, purpose, and authentic fulfillment remains the same. The choice to begin that journey starts now.